What up, everyone? Back for another video. So, apologies for missing posting a video last week. It was actually my birthday, and I completely lost track of time. Before I knew it, the week was over, and I just completely forgot to post a video, so I was like, oh shit. So, I just kind of skipped it. I don't think anyone was waiting on the edge of their seats by any means, so no big deal, but I just wanted to let you know that I did notice that, and it's sorry about that. But, we're back now with a movie review. We got Shang-Chi. And one, I'm so excited to be back in theaters, so excited to be seeing movies with my friends again. It has been too long, almost 2 years now. Don't get me wrong, I really like the at-home releases with HBO Max. It made it so easy to review things. It was so nice to be able to take screenshots and pictures of things to reference in the video. It was so much nicer doing it that way, watching it on my own schedule, and it was so much easier to take notes because it's not in a dark theater, so I do miss that, but the movie experience is just significantly different. I have a very nice sound setup here, but it's just by no means anywhere close to the same as seeing it in a theater. And I had kind of forgotten about that because it's just been so long. So it was really nice to get back in there, and it's really nice to see something high budget again. We've just been kind of held over with these Marvel shows lately, and they're fine, they're okay, but they're just always very clearly lower budget. And it's nice to see something that's full quality, full budget again. It was just amazing to see. And overall, we'll just talk about this movie and I'll give it a score and I'll give it a review. And in the comments, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well, as always. And once again, thank you to all the people that do weigh in. The comments are coming in more and more, and I do appreciate that. I always like to hear your opinions too. So overall, I liked the movie. I enjoyed it, but I kind of thought that I would. I could tell by the previews. Usually I'm pretty good about being able to tell if it's going to be good or not, or if I'm going to like it, and I did like it. It was pretty in line from what I expected, which is good. It's good when something like that happens. So I enjoyed it overall, and like I said, the budget seemed really nice, and all the things seemed really well put together, and the CGI was pretty decent. It wasn't perfect. There were a few little minor things, like a lot of the certain animals in that part of the movie that the CGI didn't really seem super up to par, but overall, in general, it was pretty good. And spoiler alerts, by the way, as with all of my videos, I'm going to talk about a lot of spoilery things, so if you haven't seen it, please wait and watch it later. One thing to mention I noticed right off the bat is that most of the Marvel movies and comic book movies in general are sci-fi, but this one was more on the fantasy side, which I'm not a huge fan of in general. Didn't bother me too much here, but in general, I definitely like sci-fi, and I usually don't like fantasy because it's just all over the place. It's just, there's so little explanation for so many things going on, and that typically bothers me. So this was more on the fantasy side of things, because there was just fucking dragons and stuff flying all over the place and different lands and all that stuff. So it's something to note going into it. You got to be able to expect that. I didn't quite expect that from the trailers. And then I do like that the movies are getting a lot more culturally based. For the longest time, the Marvel movies were, I wouldn't say identical, but it had this very cookie cutter feel to it of the situation. Like when they were doing the original Avengers, it was all their origin stories, and they were all just kind of set up in a very specific way. And now with Black Widow and this movie, it seems like there's a lot more culture involved. And I actually really like that. I like to see these other cultures. I like to see something different. Black Widow had the same feel as this one, where it didn't feel like the typical Marvel movie from the first 4 phases that we've seen. Not that they were bad, I loved them to death, but they were just all very similar, and the progression of the story and things like that. These were much different, and they had a lot more culture. Black Widow was more Russian-based. I think I have that right, Russian. And this was more Asian-based. That's as specific as I can be because I don't want to offend anyone. I'm sure it's more specific than that. I'm sorry, I don't know the specific sect of Asia, but you know what I mean. Very Asian-inspired, and I like that. And it had a lot of historical things from Asian culture in there too, and I like that they tie that in to the story. I thought they did that very well, and I do like that. I like to see different sides of it. I like that now we're getting the new Avengers team, essentially, and we're getting much different characters. So we're not just redoing the first couple phases with the first Avengers movie. I don't want that. Not that it was bad, but we want something different. We want something new, and that definitely seems like the direction they're going. And there wasn't too many changes from the comics. Again, I knew very little about Shang-Chi before this. I just had bits and pieces recognized him. The only major change that I noticed was the 10 rings. In the comics, the 10 rings were rings that go on your finger. Those were the 10 rings. And they changed it to more armbands. They're still rings, but they're more bracelets in this sense. So that was the only major change that I saw, which, didn't bother me, but again, it probably didn't bother me and other people because he wasn't that popular of a character. The more popular the character is, the more angry people get when they change things. But since they were so little known, it wasn't that big of a deal. Same with Guardians of the Galaxy. They changed tons of stuff from the original comic, but no one really read those comics, so no one seemed to be upset. So I have a feeling it's going to be the same situation. I was hoping for more of Wong and Abomination. And I'm still bummed they showed that in the trailer. That was such a big thing that they really shouldn't have released in the trailer. So it's kind of a bummer when they spoil things in the trailer these days, and they're doing it more and more, and I don't like that. And it's a bummer that there was really nothing more than that. That quick little scene you saw in the trailer, that was it for the two of them. And it's like, oh, that sucks. I really wanted to know the story behind it, and they didn't explain that. I'm assuming intentionally, because we saw in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which looks amazing, by the way, that Wong leaves Doctor Strange and goes somewhere else. So I'm assuming it's directly tied to that. I'm guessing we'll get the explanation of that in Spider-Man, or if not that, then definitely in Doctor Strange 2. It's just a bummer to get a teaser like that and not have an explanation. So I was hoping that those characters would be in a little more. And in that same sense, I was hoping that there would be another character reveal in some way. Towards the end of the movie, where they had all those demons in that cave behind the wall, I was kind of hoping it was going to be like a big name character, like Dormammu. Obviously, I know it wouldn't have been him because he was in Doctor Strange 1, or everyone says like Nightmare or someone like that. Someone cool. I was kind of hoping that it would be a cool character, but instead it was just like another dragon, which I'm sure it has some comic significance, but I didn't know who it was. It was just a dragon. So it was kind of a letdown there. They kind of built it up, and I was hoping for a big reveal, and it was just kind of a dragon. It's like, they definitely could have done more with it there, but not a big deal. One thing I did notice throughout the movie, it seemed like they pulled a lot or even stole a lot from other franchises, and I don't know how people aren't getting sued for this stuff. So, did anyone else notice there was a lot of Pokemon in this one? As soon as they go into, what's it called, Talo, something like that? As soon as they get there, there's the flying firebirds, and I'm like, oh, there's Moltres just like hanging out, a bunch of them. Like, is that not exactly what Moltres looks like if it was real? And then immediately after that, we see Ninetales that looked identical to the Pokemon Ninetales, even the same color and everything. So again, I'm sure that has some kind of significance. I'm sure it's something from Chinese or Japanese culture where that's a mythical animal. But I'm just really surprised at how close it was looking to the Pokemon counterparts. And the same thing with the dragon, where it turned out to be a water dragon. I'm like, it didn't look like Gyarados, but very similar to what Gyarados would have done. Like, just a lot of very specific Pokemon references. And then the whole airbending thing, that was almost identical to Avatar. Again, I'm not saying they stole the idea. It's just funny how all these other ideas kind of came together in this one movie. There was a lot of airbending that happened that they didn't really fully explain. They said that those people have those powers, but they didn't really delve too much into it. So there was very little explanation, but it just reminded me exactly of Aang and all the other characters, the airbenders in Avatar. It was very funny. And there was also a Dragon Ball reference. Awkwafina said Kamehameha. And it's like, throughout the whole movie, there's so many references to other comic books and stuff like that. I just thought it was funny. I'm surprised no one's getting sued for these things. But funny things I noticed. I keep seeing Pokemon more and more because I remember Rise of the Skywalker. They had the Glaceon characters, and I don't know what it is. Maybe there's some underlying thing that Pokemon's selling the rights secretly to these movies and putting them in there. I don't know. It's just very, very funny to see. Those are all the major things I noticed about the movie. The after credits scene, the very last one, I'm glad they put that in there. And I'll tell you why. So many times in these movies, not so much Marvel movies, but a lot of DC ones, they do this thing and I hate it. Where at the very end, the bad guys all of a sudden become the good guys. They just like do a 180 flip and it's no big deal. Like Suicide Squad, the first one. Where at the end of it, they were all these terrible people, and then for no reason, they're like, oh, let's be good guys all of a sudden. It's like, that's so stupid. That's so cheesy. And I thought they were going to do that with this one because I thought that about how they joined forces, the two teams, to fight these demons. And I'm like, well, I get why they did that, but why would they all of a sudden turn good guys? After the fight, wouldn't they just go back to it? And it showed that they did. So I like that they didn't just pretend that these bad guys had turned good. I like that Shang-Chi's sister, something with an X, I forget how to pronounce it. I like that she became like a crime lord, and all the people that were those bad guys went right back to what they were doing, because that makes way more sense. It doesn't make sense the bad guys would all of a sudden turn good after a life of crime. It makes sense they would go back to it, and it makes sense that she was running that underground fight club, would rather do that and run this whole 10 rings thing. So I really like that, and that shows that may lead somewhere, which is really cool, and I'm excited for that. So that seems like they're setting up a sequel, which I'd be fine for. And I really like this character in general, the Shang-Chi character. And I think he'll be really cool on the Avengers. He has a unique power, and he has really good fighting skill, and I think he would be a cool Avengers character. And I'm almost positive that's what's going to happen. I don't know if Kevin Feige's actually confirmed it, but pretty sure that he will end up on the Avengers, or at least in the Avengers in some way. So I'm excited to see how they used him, because I think he's a really cool character. So overall, those are just some fun little things that I noticed. Overall, I liked the movie, but it wasn't mind-blowing. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, because it was all good. It was good acting, it was good fighting, good fight choreography, good storyline, well-written, good dialogue. All the things were good. It was a very well-done, well-rounded movie. That being said, nothing in it was particularly amazing. Nothing blew my mind, and there were some parts that were a little hard to follow, like towards the end of the movie where it got really fantasy-like, where all of a sudden the dragons were just popping out, and it's just like, okay, there's a dragon now, and then another dragon broke out of the wall, and it's like, okay, now there's fucking 2 dragons. Sure, why not? Let's bring a 4th dragon here. Who cares? Like, dragons everywhere. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? There's a lot of shit happening here. And there was a few things that went on in that Talo land that there was just little explanation for, so it wasn't bad by any means, but there was a lot of unexplained things. And again, nothing in it was particularly mind-blowing, amazing, but still a very well-rounded and good movie. There was really no major complaints I had about it, and that's why it'll get a 7.5 out of 10. So I'm excited to see where they go with this movie. I'm excited to see what they do with this character. It seems like they're setting up a sequel, although I'm not sure if they will do one. I guess it depends on how it performs in the box office, but I think it'll perform decently well. But yeah, this is the start of the new beginning, the new Avengers, whatever they're going to call it. So it's exciting to see these new characters, because now we know where it's going to lead. When the original Iron Man came out, we had no idea it was going to lead to this. Now we see the potential, so it's exciting to see these brand new characters get introduced, especially ones you like that have a good story and background. So I liked all that about it. So yeah, real quick video. That was my thoughts on it. There's nothing else that stood out in a good or bad way. Like I said, I have no major complaints about it. Overall, enjoyed the movie. Is it right about what I thought it would be? I thought it'd be around 7.5, and it was, so there we go. Worth seeing. I would definitely check it out, because this is going to be an important character down the line, and the 10 Rings will show up in another way, whether it's in a sequel or another movie. This movie is going to connect other ones, like we saw Wong and Abomination, so if I had to guess, this is going to be a must-see movie as far as character development and storyline. Other than that, next movie's coming out. We have Venom and then the Eternals after that. Both of them look okay. I'm not super excited for either. I love the character Venom, but I don't think that movie's going to be too good. Eternals seems like it'll be a good movie, but it's hard to be excited for anything because there's been so little information out there, but we'll see. The one that does look awesome is Spider-Man. That's going to be amazing. Other than that, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Things you noticed, things I didn't talk about, things you liked, things you didn't like, speculation, fan theory, anything you want. Let's talk about it, and I'll talk and respond in the comments. Other than that, thank you for watching and supporting. Love you all. Peace.